in a district, in Mymensingh district, and in an area not very far from Dhaka, a young 30-year-old Hindu on a fake charge of blasphemy or something, he was beaten to death and then his body was put on a stick and burnt. Now what kind of a society is this? Is this 21st century? Is this civilization? You're going back to barbarism. Well, actually, this is a total mobocracy functioning in Bangladesh. It is not, first of all, it's not a constitutional government. It's an illegal government, and they have no authority or right to conduct the election. That should be done by a properly appointed caretaker government. But the entire regime change operation was done with the Jamaat-e-Islami of Dhaka in charge. It was conducted by Pakistan with support of external forces.
Amid political unrest and rising anti-India rhetoric, a Hindu man has been lynched to death in Bangladesh's Mymensingh district. The incident has sent shockwaves across the region and raised serious questions about law, order, and minority safety in the country. Bangladesh's interim government, led by Chief Advisor Muhammad Yunus, has now condemned the killing. In a strong statement, the administration said there is no place for such violence in the new Bangladesh and promised that those responsible will not be spared. But the ground reality tells a darker story. The victim was Dipu Chandra, a 30-year-old Hindu worker at a factory in Baluka Upazila. According to Bangladeshi media reports, he was accused of making derogatory remarks about Islam during a workplace event. Those allegations spread rapidly. Within hours, a mob formed. What followed was brutal. Dipu was beaten mercilessly. He reportedly died on the spot, but the violence did not end there. The mob dragged his body to a nearby bus stand. It was tied to a tree. The crowd continued to beat the body. Slogans were shouted, and then the body was set on fire. This happened in full public view. The Yunus administration has described the incident as violence, intimidation, and destruction of life. The condemnation was posted by the chief advisor's press secretary, Shafiqul Alam, as unrest continued to simmer across Bangladesh. For India, this incident cannot be seen in isolation. The lynching comes at a time when Bangladesh is witnessing aggressive street protests, political chaos, and growing hostility towards India. Since the killing of youth leader Osman Hadi, anti-India narratives have gained momentum. Social media has been flooded with unverified claims. India has been blamed without evidence. And now, a Hindu citizen has been killed by a mob. Former Indian diplomat Veena Sikri has described the situation as Mobocracy. She has questioned the legitimacy of the interim setup and warned that extremist forces are exploiting chaos to create fear and frenzy.
Well, actually, this is a total mobocracy functioning in Bangladesh. It is not, first of all, it's not a constitutional government. It's an illegal government, and they have no authority or right to conduct the election. That should be done by a properly appointed caretaker government. But the entire regime change operation was done with the Jamaat-e-Islami of Dhaka in charge. It was conducted by Pakistan with support of external forces. And now these Jamaat-e-Islami are trying to whip up a frenzy. What they have realized, what the Jamaat-e-Islami thought that they would be able to get the majority, but then they realized that what Muhammad Yunus has done in the last 18 months has made the people very unhappy. The economy is in total doldrums, factories are closing down, there's inflation, rampant unemployment. So people are very unhappy, and they are saying that it was better earlier when Sheikh Hasina was there. So to counter this lack of popularity of the Jamaat-e-Islami, they are trying to whip up all kinds of frenzies. First frenzy they tried to whip up was against Sheikh Hasina. That did not work at all. Now what they have done is that as part of the election campaign, one of their people was shot at, Osman Hadi. Within seconds of that shooting, they are trying to blame India. Without any inquiry, nothing. They called in our High Commissioner and telling him that, you have done this and so on. This is absolutely infuriating. And this is part of the methodology that Muhammad Yunus has been following to be completely anti-Indian. And the the way in which Jamaat-e-Islami tries to increase its own support is to be anti-Indian and to blame everything on India. That Sheikh Hasina was a fascist, India was supporting her, so India. So this is the kind of frenzy being whipped up. And on the death of Osman Hadi, because he was sent to Singapore and now he has passed away, so they're doing the same thing. That people are now not only, mobs roaming the streets and attacking anything inside, but blaming India. But they got their own agenda fully in place, because two things I want to draw attention to, which are very serious and which I think our media is not covering enough. One is the same attack on cultural institutions. If you remember last July, when the revolution, so-called revolution, is not a revolution, it is a regime change operation managed in Bangladesh by the Jamaat-e-Islami, but with support of Pakistan. During that regime change occupation, within 1 minute of Sheikh Hasina leaving the country, they had started the attacks on the Hindu minorities. The killings, the lynching, the rape, destroying their property, destroying their businesses. The same thing is happening now. Yesterday, in a district, in Mymensingh district, and in an area not very far from Dhaka, a young 30-year-old Hindu, on a fake charge of blasphemy or something, he was beaten to death, and then his body was put on a stick and burnt. Now, what kind of a society is this? Is this 21st century? Is this civilization? You're going back to barbarism. Now, this must be called out. We must write about that, we must talk about that, we must put it into our media everywhere. But nobody, you're only talking about riots in Dhaka, about Osman Hadi. Nobody is talking about the death of this person by beating and then burning. I tell you, this kind of barbarism is only something that Jamaat-e-Islami has shown itself capable of, because during the 71 Liberation War, this is exactly what they were doing. The genocide against all the intellectuals, the minorities, the Christians, the Hindus, the Buddhists, the Sufis, the Ahmadites, this was part of what happened in 71. So they're repeating that situation again. They thought that by pushing out the Awami League, they will have complete control and they can go back to the pre-1971 situation. But they realized that the people of Bangladesh do not want that. The people of Bangladesh remember 1971. They remember the Awami League. They want Awami League back. They're saying it was better before. So now they're doing these kind of absolute cruel gestures, and I think the media must highlight it. This is a message to India, and we are keeping quiet about it. And the second aspect is again on the cultural institutions. Yesterday we saw in Dhaka the Chayanaut, very well known, I know them very well, Chayanaut cultural institution, their building was burned down. Just like last year in July, the Indian Cultural Center was burned down. Rahul Anand's home was burned down. So complete attack on all cultural aspects of Bangladesh's civilizational history, complete attack on minorities, the cruel, absolutely burning of this young person outside in Mymensingh district. This has to be taken up. This is what the barbarism. I don't think you can have elections in this kind of an atmosphere. Muhammad Yunus' statement was so bland. He was like as though King Nero, fiddling while Rome is burning. Dhaka is burning, and he is saying, be calm, be happy, be brave, we will bring democracy. This is democracy. He's unable to get either the police or the army to control the situation. Outside the Assistant High Commissioner of India in Chittagong, the army has been called out. So I think that this has to be really looked at very seriously. I think that we have to get back to a situation, what India has conveyed to the Assistant High Commissioner, to the Bangladesh High Commissioner in Delhi. He was called in day before yesterday, that you must have free, fair, inclusive and participatory elections. Only then they will be credible. And without credible elections, the people of Bangladesh are not going to accept. They're not going to, fall for this kind of a fake strategy that the Yunus regime is trying to impose. So they must have a proper caretaker government. They must have a 90-day period when all the registered parties are willing to take part, and then have a free, fair and inclusive election. Whoever wins is fine. India will do business with that government because we know it is the people who have elected. And the moment you have a properly elected, inclusively elected government, there will be calm and quiet return to parliament, return to democracy. As has happened, for example, in Sri Lanka. Sri Lanka had a revolution, Rajapaksa government was brought down, but in the elections, Rajapaksa party was allowed to take part. They didn't get votes, but that is the people's choice. So I think this is what we have to do. We have to completely point out to Bangladesh and to the world what is happening in Bangladesh. This cannot continue. The West is keeping silent on it. They talk about human rights, but they're watching the burning of a Hindu and they're keeping quiet. And nobody is saying anything. They're just talking about what's burning, this little mobocracy that is created, the same 300 odd people who go around burning everything in Dhaka. And then when they come on the Indian channels, all they say is, oh, India is at fault. So India must send back the killer of Hadi, India must send back Sheikh. So you're allowing that narrative to be twisted. This is wrong. We must stop that.